This is going to be exciting. I'm super excited. Super excited to go out there and spend a couple weeks in the rain. There's over-the-counter tags. You can go to Montana or Idaho or New Mexico or something like that and hunt bears on over-the-counter tag. People can complain about a $5 increase for a tag, a state tag fee in their home state or whatever, and they just whine and complain like it's the last thing. Those people watch movies each week. They go out to dinner. They think nothing about going out to lunch. The one thing you can't buy is time. And so that's the one thing, some of your listeners and you yourself or whatever, should have in the back of their mind is, what's my real future here? Washington sheep, goats, and moose are not worth applying for. $110 application fee, they aren't worth it. And then, there's other scenarios, a lot of scenarios that are well worth it. So it's a little intimidating for bear hunters to say, well, I'm going to go out and actually find one, and then I'm going to harvest it, and it's all going to come together. But it will. It will if that's your goal and you're looking to find a bear. There's a good chance you'd go out and see some bears. Hey, everybody, Jason Carter here with Epic Outdoors, and you're listening to Living Country in the City.
Y'all ready for your dose of flyover state spirit? Straight from the concrete jungle? Well, put down your latte and pull on your boots. It's time for Living Country in the City.
All right, y'all, welcome to episode 69 of Living Country in the City. Before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you to Sawyer Products for their support of the podcast. I really would not be able to do what I do without their generosity and support. Y'all, they've put together an incredible suite of products, the really simple stuff that keeps you in the backcountry for longer. All the essential stuff like insect repellent, first aid, water filtration. Make sure y'all head on over to Sawyer.com and check them out and stock up on all of those awesome products. Also, want to say thank you again to all y'all that are tuning in each and every week, sending me feedback on the episodes, sending in guest suggestions. I love hearing all that, and I do my best to try and get on folks that you suggest. I can't guarantee anything, but I make the attempt at least. Also, if you could take a moment and head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave a quick rating and review. It only takes just a minute, and it's huge in helping the podcast visibility and its growth. So getting to today's episode, back at Western Hunt Expo, I got a chance to meet Jason Carter of Epic Outdoors. Unfortunately, it was the last day and actually the last few minutes of the expo, and both of us were pretty tied up, so we didn't get to sit down and do an episode in person. But fortunately, we were able to hop on the line and sit down and really have a great conversation. So hope you all enjoy this episode. Talking today with Jason Carter of Epic Outdoors. Jason, thank you so much for hopping on the line with me today.
Hey, you bet, man. Anytime. Happy to visit with you.
And you're calling all the way from the frozen north up top, right?
Yeah, I'm up here in Anchorage, chilling out in a motel for a minute. We grab a little puddle jump flight here from Anchorage to Sandpoint, headed out to the peninsula to hunt brown bears. So anyway, you caught me just in time. I'll lose cell service here in about 8 hours.
Well, I definitely want to ask about that, but one thing I always like to start with is, for those who may not be as familiar with you, just, a little bit about kind of your history, how you got your start in the outdoors and hunting.
Okay, yeah. Well, I've always been raised in hunting. From the very beginning. I was, born in the 70s. And, my dad became a wildlife biologist and a conservation officer. He was going to school at Utah State University in the 70s and graduated and got a job at the Utah Game and Fish. So anyway, and that's what he did. And so he also just obviously loved to hunt, was raised hunting, and that's all he did. That's literally all he did. And that's all our extended family did. So anyway, during regular big game seasons here in Utah, he had to, work those seasons. And so if he wanted to hunt himself, he had to kind of learn how to hunt out of state. And did a lot of research as the proclamations and regulations from other states and a lot of applying. Obviously, back then there was a lot of over-the-counter opportunities as well. But just mixing and matching seasons and figuring out how to hunt in and around his own work schedule during the Utah big game seasons. And so as he did that, we kind of grew up through the ranks, being, a partner with him in crime, so to speak. Was in the passenger seat a lot, the game and fish truck, and spent a lot of time in the hills. And, whether it be chained up in snow or whatever. Surveys, we did a lot of aerial surveys for bighorn sheep or antelope or whatever, and a lot of times I got to be in the helicopter with them, and so it was pretty fun. Had a great childhood, and was just raised out in the wild, and basically this is all I've known and all I've done, and so that just kind of an early childhood brings you up through high school, college. I continued. I went out in finance in college, kind of as a backup, I guess, and into business. My dad was always into business, and developed wildlife calls and a wildlife call business, and sold electronic grunt calls for whitetail hunters, as well as electronic trapping lure. Was a bird squeaking, and different things, and scents and diaphragms for elk calling and turkey calling and whatnot. So just had 30 or 40 different products that he would sell through Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops and whatnot. So continued on with that, and then he ended up selling that business. And about that time, I graduated from college, and we started a business, the Huntin' Fool magazine. We started that, and it was just basically a service to help hunters, to help educate hunters on out-of-state hunting opportunities. It was a magazine, and crank through all the statistics and odds. And we continue with that same business model for Epic Outdoors. So, you can go to epicoutdoors.com and see what we're all about. But anyway, just a long history, 30 plus years of 30, 40 years being in the hills, being out of state, and hunting anything and everything big game.
That's amazing. Funny enough, one of my very first episodes I recorded with one of the guys over at Huntin' Fool, one of the guys that's over there now, Austin McPhee. It was I had no clue what I was doing. I was at the International Sportsman's Expo in Salt Lake, and just walking around, I'm like, wow, these guys have a big truck. I'm going to talk to them.
Yeah, here's a big camo truck. Let's jump in that thing and do a podcast.
Pretty much. So, now you guys, now you're running Epic Outdoors, and that's, like you said, sort of a similar business model. It helps folks choose where to apply for tags and that sort of a thing, right? Tell me a little bit more about that.
It is. It's heavily research based. We work monthly, December through June. Bi-monthly, the remaining part of the year, 9 issues a year, but it's 150 pages of just heavy research, a few stories and whatnot. But we go through all the western states and break them down and give you draw odds, kill percentages. Our comments on the units just really heavy in the research side of things. And so anyway, we're not just researching just to write the mag and be done with it. It's something we live for. We do it year round and constantly making notes and spreadsheets and whatnot, and just there's a lot of our hunters that are very serious guys as well, and we learn from them as well. I mean, there's guys that are taking it very serious and know what they're talking about and whatnot, and we teach each other at times. So anyway, it's been really good. We sell hunts as well, kind of like a booking agent, and then we apply for tags. Nowadays things aren't just over the counter. There's a few over the counter opportunities like you had there in Idaho on your archery elk hunt and stuff, but a lot of these you need to apply for, and some of them are easy to draw and some of them aren't. But when you have a limited resource and a management strategy, depending on the state, then it usually makes it to where you need to have a limited number of tags, and there's usually more demand than there are tags, and so that makes it to where it's natural to have a draw process. And so anyway, that's what we do. We work on the draw. We deal with the draw and where to apply. And there's a lot of guys that just want tags, and there's some guys that want trophy animals or whatever. It's something that's managed a little tighter. So anyway, we research it all and deal with it all. And also there's landowner tags and guaranteed tags that outfitters have, where you can just go buy a guided hunt and do that route as well. And some guys do both. So we deal with everything as far as western big game hunting, from Canada, Alaska to Mexico, and everything in between.
Sounds like everything pretty much soup to nuts. Not a bad deal.
Yeah, it's good. It's $100 a year, and of course, guys can call in and visit with us, and we have that every day. We deal with that a lot, and we love it. It's very personalized service. And there's, we got guys whether they ask questions about restrictions for muzzleloader hunting or whatever in a particular state to very serious questions about the trophy potential in a particular unit in whatever state they've got interest in. So, yep, it is. It's very, very intense. I work with a super group of guys. Adam Bronson, he's a very serious sheep outfitter here in Utah, and also guides in Nevada as well. Does a great job. He's killed an amazing amount of desert bighorns for his clients, or helped them kill them and guided them and whatnot. He was also a biologist for the Utah Division of Wildlife, graduated with a master's in wildlife biology, and I've worked with him for 15 years or so, and then John Peterson, worked with him for 20 years or so, and then his brother Chris, 10 years or so, and we've also got a brother-in-law of mine, Jeff John, and he's on board, and so, and a few other staff members as well. So very, very aggressive, tight group of guys that are very serious and do a great job.
Well, I think that's one of the things that makes your guys' service so valuable, is the ability to actually call people up and talk to someone, because you can read all of the stats and all of the data, and especially as a new hunter, sometimes you may think you understand it, but you just really need to ask the question, have somebody confirm you're thinking the right way, or just talk through something with someone, just to give yourself that added bit of confidence before you drop, let's face it, a pretty stinking significant amount of money on a tag.
Yeah, 100%. Hunting's not cheap, and you found that out. Your experience in Idaho and whatnot. You can sure drop a lot of money on some things and some hunting gear. Whether it's hunting gear, it's gas, it's a vehicle, it's the bow alone or a rifle or whatever. You can crank up to 10 to 20,000 pretty quick. It's not, and then obviously sometimes you may not need that much gear and whatnot, but it's not cheap, and so it's nice to bounce a few things off and to make sure that experience is what you need and the gear might be what you need or whatever, and not just waste money. And we like to bounce our own, as much experience as we have. It's always nice to get a second opinion. Adam and I are bouncing ideas off each other all year round about what to apply for and what our strategy is, and so we all like that little confirmation that we're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this bear hunt. We were talking a little bit earlier, and I told you an Alaskan brown bear hunt is that's like my dream hunt right there. That's one of my bucket list things. I remember when I was first getting interested in hunting, I was kind of looking up the regulations. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was just Google searching everything, and I was looking up hunting seasons in California, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, oh, bear seasons. Wow, that's kind of crazy. And then I looked, I'm like, there's an archery bear season. I'm like, I never knew people did that. And now I'm sitting here thinking, like, that would be the coolest thing, It's just, I don't know, to me, that's like one of the highest levels in my mind. Like, one, I love bow hunting. I think it's amazing. But then the idea of not just hunting a predator or something that can actually hunt you back, but pretty top level predator as far as they go. There's not much really that rivals those. It's just, it is about as epic as it gets to to use the term.
It is for North America. It is. There's no question. The only other thing would be a polar bear, and they hunt you down. Nice. Those, polar bear, brown bear, grizzly, they're significant predators. Not something to be taken lightly. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it, and a lot of cartridge selection, and with the guides and outfitters, everybody's very cautious and careful, and but it's also something you have a lot of respect for. Those opportunities don't come around very often. Very limited, number of tags that are out there. And as far as opportunities. The outfitters and whatnot, they want to take care of their area and not shoot it out. And there's just a lot of, there's a lot of management that goes into it as well. And so very aggressive. They're salmon fed, basically a grizzly on salmon, so they're bigger than a grizzly, and but very a lot of respect for them. I mean, they're monsters, and we're about to see them. I've been out and I've been in the hills and hunting Alaska and Canada and whatnot, and seen a few grizzlies, but this will be kind of the next level, and I've got a tag. It's been on my bucket list as well. I've wanted to do it for years and years, but you get busy doing what you like to do, and you get comfortable hunting elk and deer and antelope, and when you draw sheep tags and whatnot down in the lower 48. And so this is going to be exciting. I'm super excited, super excited to go out there and spend a couple weeks in the rain glassing for bears.
So out of curiosity, it's one of those things where I know there's a difference, but if somebody asked me, I wouldn't even know how to explain it, as between a grizzly and a brown bear.
Yeah, grizzlies are internal. They're more of a mountain bear. So you can just kind of think of them as a mountain bear. And then once you get out on the coast where the bears feed on salmon, they're a brown bear. And so that's the major difference. It's what they eat, their diet. And so with their diet, eating salmon, they're a little bit bigger. They're just a step above size-wise, maybe 2 steps above. There's some big old bears. So salmon fed's the big thing. Interior, mountain bears, a grizzly be a mountain bear. If you're up stone sheep hunting, a lot of caribou hunting, moose and whatnot. Depending on where you're at, you could see a grizzly and whatnot. But that's the difference.
So are you going out there solely for bear, or are you also planning on adding some other animals to the list while you're up in Alaska?
Well, yeah, this time of year, there's no sheep seasons or anything going, and the other animals like moose and caribou and whatnot, they shed their antlers just like an elk or a deer. So the springtime, there's no seasons, and they're just growing antler back. They're very, very in the growth cycle. It's they just shed them maybe a couple months ago, and so they don't have much growth on their head. So anyway, this is strictly, springtime hunting is generally bear. You're bear and not much else. And so it's bear, and of course people fish a little bit here and there, but generally, if you got guys down in the lobby and people are flying in on planes, if they're hunting either black bear, brown bear, or grizzly. So generally, brown bear and black bear.
So out of curiosity, I've just started really trying to learn a bit more about bear hunting, and I feel like I've found some good books recently, and but I feel like there's so much about elk hunting or deer hunting. It's really easy to kind of be like, okay, this is how I start, this is how the steps I go through to figure things out. With bear hunting, I feel like it's tough to find those same kind of resources. Like, I wouldn't even know. I'm like, okay, awesome. I want to get tags. I want to do a spring bear hunt. Say even just for black bear or something like that. Where does a person even start? Because I'm not interested in baiting and sitting a tree stand. I've got nothing against it, but for me, it's just wouldn't be the same. I'd want it to be a spot and stalk. So what would you recommend for somebody that's like interested in maybe learning more and wanting to start doing some bear hunting?
Yeah, it's getting the tag is the main thing. There's some of these states are on a draw. Colorado and Utah and a few of these other states are. Nevada's even got black bear, on a draw. But there's over-the-counter tags. You can go to Montana or Idaho or New Mexico or something like that and hunt bears on an over-the-counter tag. In a lot of those states, you'll need to get the regulations, figure out if you can bait, use dogs, or spot and stalk. So some states you can't use bait. Some states are in seasons. They might even be season specific, spring and fall. And so anyway, you figure that out. But if you're wanting to spot and stalk, you can do that generally any particular season. There's nothing that ever says you can't spot and stalk a bear. And so your style of hunting is perfect. You can do that, and it's just a matter of getting the tag, going out and doing it. You need to be able to glass. Like Montana, we've hunted Montana. You've got a lot of logging roads and little, open hillsides here and there, but there's a lot of forest as well. And so, the bears will come out. Generally, they come out the latter half of the day. Not a lot of activity in the morning, and then and you can take a mountain bike or something that's really quiet on these old logging roads that might not be available or open to vehicle traffic. And then, and you can kind of cruise through some of that country and stop and glass, or you might just get up on glassing knobs and glass them up, and then spot and stalk them once you've, located a boar or even a female if it doesn't have cubs or whatever. Generally speaking, if they've got cubs and they've got cubs, it's illegal to kill them. But anyway, so, it's just a matter of getting started. Spot and stalk, there's a few tutorials online. You can kind of go through and learn about bears and how to judge them and female versus male and whatnot. Utah Game and Fish or Colorado Game and Fish or whatever, you can get on there and do that and kind of educate yourself anyway and learn as much as you can that way. But glassing them, it's a matter of, your equipment. You're going to put your glass on a tripod. You're going to, or not, and then just how aggressive you're willing to get and covering the country. There's, if you start really working for bears, you that's your goal, is I'm going to hunt black bears. You'll be able to glass them up and work and have a decent hunt if you're in a decent area. But generally speaking, if you're just out and about and you're not, you count up all the times in your life you've seen a bear, there's not many times you just happen upon a bear. They're kind of rare to find and see. And so it's a little intimidating for bear hunters to say, well, I'm going to go out and actually find one, and then I'm going to harvest it, and it's all going to come together. But it will if that's your goal and you're looking to find a bear. There's a good chance you'd go out and see some bears. If you work it hard and you're looking for sign, you're looking for fresh tracks in mud and whatnot, then you can kind of get a feel for where the bears are frequenting, and then you really hone in and work that country. So there is baiting, there's dogs, there's spot and stalk, a lot of varieties on how to hunt them and whatnot. But I don't have dogs, and maybe on black bear I wouldn't want to hire somebody, and so I would be a spot and stalk guy too, or maybe I'd register a bait site in Utah if that ever was something I wanted to do, which I haven't done. Here in the lower 48, I've sat in some stands up in Canada and whatnot, but never harvested a bear. But anyway, well, that's kind of the gist of it.
So pretty much covering ground, spending a lot of time glassing, and just keeping an eye out as close as you can for any tracks, any scat, any other signs you might see.
Yep, that's it. You're just covering ground, and you're glassing good areas and putting yourself in good areas and places. If you just sit and watch one hillside for the whole evening, just one hillside, and it's a small hillside, chances are you might not see bear, but if you can glass multiple hillsides from one vantage point, or you can stop and glass and work and cover the ground and do it justice. Those are the ideal cases, where you can. They're not like elk. We don't have herds and herds and herds of them, and they don't make lots of noise, and their black bears really aren't that big, they're surprisingly small, and so anyway, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but definitely worth doing. It's not, you're not throwing money down the drain. It's definitely a decent possibility that you'd have a decent hunt. So
that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely, for me, I don't know, as far as North American hunting goes, that's like one of the pinnacle things. I don't get as excited about it as going out and chasing elk, and like something that's more an every year kind of thing, I think, for a lot of people. But it's still, I feel like, and especially, as a guy, like, I want to go out, take a bear. I'll admit it's a kind of a chesty dude kind of a thing,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it might be, and I like to experience a little of everything. So, it's not like I'm going on this hunt, but it's not something like I don't want to hunt a brown bear every year my whole life. Like it's really not that for me. But I do want to hunt deer every year my whole life, maybe 2 or 3 times. And I want to hunt elk 2 or 3 times every single year for my whole life. But I like to experience a lot of different things. This forces you to get out and see some things you wouldn't otherwise see. It's what, kind of like hunting different states for different species. You get to take part in the culture, it's kind of like being a tourist, but with purpose, kind of like what you were talking about. You don't want to just exercise just to say you exercise. You want to exercise because you're preparing for a competition or you've got an end goal or something you're working towards. And that's similar to hunting. I don't want to just be a tourist. I don't want to just travel around just to say I've been there and go look at the shops and I would go crazy. I'd be bored. I'd be like, all right, well, we're going to, go rent a bike and go ride around Anchorage or whatever it is, right? So, but for hunting wise, it's like forces me. I'm going to go see Sandpoint. I'm going to go to the end of the peninsula. I'm going to be close to the Aleutian Islands, which isn't too far from Russia, and take part in the culture and the community, stay in a little old, trapper's cabin or whatever. And, to have those experiences is just so awesome, and regardless if I even take a bear, and I'm okay not to take a bear. It's not really just about the kill. And I know everybody says that, and that's the kosher thing to say, but it's kind of the truth. It's not about proving you can harvest something. It's the whole experience. It's learning about the bears. It forces you to immerse yourself, and you can't do it unguided as a non-resident. So you're going to learn a lot from the guides, and of course they do this every year, and they know the bears, and you find out that these animals, you'll end up with a lot of respect for animals you don't hunt, where you otherwise thought were maybe even a little boring, but they're pretty cool. There's a lot to learn, and you'll gain a lot of respect for everything you hunt if you do it with the right attitude. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to it, and that's why I like to sometimes go to the Yukon or British Columbia or whatever, or even if it's other states, Kansas. I learned a lot in Kansas, and I'm not raised around whitetails, but then you start going, man, I could really be addicted to these whitetails. I could get going on this, But by doing that, you kind of takes away from mule deer, which are king, right?
Well, it's funny. There's a reason 90% of the hunting community chases whitetails and turkey. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Like my passion, what I obsess about and dream about and think about every second of every day is elk and mule deer and being in the backcountry and all of that. But there's something to be said for the ability to go out and just spend a day chasing whitetail or chasing turkey or being out. You're still, I know it's not for everyone, but it's still hunting regardless of what some people think, I think. So.
It's awesome. And even turkeys, like people that, bash on turkey hunters, I mean, they're half doing it, just teasing them, but honestly, turkeys are pretty fun, man. Like, it's calling them in. There's a lot more to it. Like, yeah, if you're just driving down the road and you get out and shoot one, it doesn't do a lot for a guy. But turkey hunters that are serious about turkey hunting, they kind of frown on that. It's more of kind of an ethics, and so it's about roosting them, learning their habits, and then calling them in. And they come strutting in. It's similar to elk hunting, and it is similar to elk hunting. And so, I love turkey hunting, but I haven't killed a turkey for a long time. But I hunt them aggressively with my kids every year, and they're the perfect for youth. They're perfect for even adults. There's a lot of addiction out there, of course, to them. I've got my dad goes to 6 or 7 or 8 states a year. State to state to state with a pop-up camper and doesn't quit. And, hunting birds, like that's taking it to a whole nother level for a month and a half. You know what I mean?
All right, we're going to take just a quick moment and pause right there to hear a word from one of my partners. All right, y'all, we all know that it's possible to get into the backcountry and take that big buck or bull with a set of surplus store camo and a Walmart tent. But let's face it, quality gear can often make the difference between checking out early due to sheer misery and pushing through just a little bit further to find success. But all this gear can start to add up, and that's why I'd recommend shopping at Black Ovis. They carry high-performance hunting gear from all the top brands like Vortex, Crispy, Sitka, First Light, Mountain Ops, and Stone Glacier, often at a nicely discounted rate. I've yet to find anywhere that offers a more reasonable price, plus their shipping is free and their customer service is unmatched. Additionally, by making the choice to shop at Black Ovis, you're supporting a company that's involved in and gives back to the hunting community. It's where I do all my gear shopping, and whether you're just looking to replace a few items or build out a brand new kit, Black Ovis is the one-stop shop for super solid hunting gear. Additionally, you can help support Living Country in the City by doing all your gear shopping at Black Ovis. Visit livingcountryinthecity.com/Black Ovis, bookmark the link, and use it whenever you do your shopping. You know, you're going to go turkey hunting. I mean, yeah, there's definitely money to be spent if you want to, but you can get away with spending a whole lot less money going turkey hunting than necessarily prepping for a public land elk hunt or something like that.
Oh yeah, like with your elk hunts, like I mean, you can have any kind of weather hit you. You know, now you're going to need X amount of gear. There's just a lot more that goes into it. The tags are more expensive. You know, you've got to travel to where you can get a tag. You can't just get a tag in California. So you've got to go, you know, get a tag in Idaho, which takes you 4 states across or 3 states versus, you know, your home state. You can hunt turkeys in your home state, you know, and so there's a lot of opportunities like that, and it is cheaper, but let's face it, like there's a lot of people, we choose what we spend our money on, and you know, people can complain about a $5 increase for a tag, a state tag fee in their home state or whatever, and they just whine and complain like it's the last thing. Those people watch movies each week. They go out to dinner. They think nothing about going out to lunch. Nobody's ever taken a lunch box to work, or you know, I mean, just you know, we choose, you know, and they have boats. The same people have boats or extra cars or expensive car. You know, all kinds of stuff we get to choose, and so anyway, I try not to think about it too much. You know, I mean, obviously you've got to, because it's a significant part of my income goes to hunting, but at the same time, that's the life I want. Like, there's no use going to work if you can't hunt. For me, you know, and so anyway, we all get to choose what we spend our money on, but you know, it's cool. You get to hunt all these different things, and turkeys is something you can do every single year. You get you out in the spring. We're all getting cabin fever and shed hunting. Either you're shed hunting or you're turkey hunting or you're bear hunting. Generally black bear in most cases, and then, you know, turkeys and sheds. That's what you do in the spring.
Absolutely. So. No, I'm excited. This year I drew an aoudad hunt. So come next February, I'll be hopefully chasing aoudad in New Mexico. And, you know, that's another one that, you know, I want to do once. I want to get one, and then I think I'll be good. You know, I get really excited about them, but I don't have any desire to, you know, try and chase aoudad every year. I've heard their meat's fantastic. Somebody was telling me that it's absolutely great eating. But it's like they're sheep, you know, and that'll be awesome for you. Then it's not super easy. Some of that country, you probably Unit 29 or something, you know, down south, but and they do have good populations down there, but sometimes it's pretty tough. It's not as easy as you think, especially if you're going on public land, you know. But what a great hunt you'll have. That's awesome. Yeah, I had to read it 2 or 3 times when I saw the draw results come through, because I read it the first time and I'm like, I didn't draw anything, and I'm like, wait a second, what does that say? It's green. It's so successful. I had to read it 2 or 3 times before I actually believed it. I'm like, am I making a mistake here? Yeah. And then I made about 15 phone calls and text messages to everyone I knew. Yeah. Heck yeah, that's awesome. And that's part of this hunting. You know, half the hunt is figuring out where to go and how to get the tag. Maybe even more, you know, and so you feel like you felt a little mini success there, and you haven't even
thought about gear. You haven't even stepped foot on the unit. And so,
Oh yeah.
you just feel a little, and that's the exciting part of this time of year as well, is you're applying for the draws, and a lot of the results have come out this month and next month, and you kind of get to say, figure out what you're going to do. And it's awesome. It's a great time of year.
Well, it's the possibilities are unlimited. You get into hunting season, and that's exciting. You know what you're doing, and you get to go chase these animals. But it's almost just as fun being in this time of year when you're planning for it, because it's pie in the sky. It's like anything could happen. You could get that. You could be that 0.01%, that one person that out of however many thousand that draws that one epic unit, and it's just it's the exciting.
And when that happens, the house comes down, man. It's a ginormous celebration, and and it's happened a few times. I've drawn a sheep tag in Oregon, and early rifle elk tag in Arizona that was not expected whatsoever, and even a deer tag here in Utah back in '96. I mean, there's some significant milestones, it feels like, in my life where, I was that guy, and I knew, and I didn't think it would happen, and you just blindly apply for some of these things and feel like you're just throwing good money after bad, so to speak, and then finally it comes out, and you've got one of these tags that would cost otherwise $80,000 to buy, or 100 or 50 or whatever if it was out on the open market. And so those are it's a great time of year. There's always people that are calling in the office telling us what they drew, and we get to help them plan and prep and talk to hunters that have hunted it in the past, and really get a feel for what they've got, and then they might even choose an outfitter or whatever. But it's just a great time of year. It's all part of the hunt. It's a year-long, year-round, year after year after year, gaining points, whatever, lifestyle. And that's what it is. And you can go out and hunt, and there's some of your listeners might just, want to go hunt and dabble in it and don't really want to make it a lifestyle, or don't really just kind of want to participate in it, a little bit each year. That's totally fine. There's plenty of opportunities. There's still over-the-counter opportunities. There's easy-to-draw areas. You can borrow a gun, whatever. There's something for everybody. But once you get going, it's really hard to stop it, because it does become a lifestyle. And as you know, and you're doing aoudad, I mean, here you are picking up a bow 3 years ago, and now you're doing aoudad. It's pretty impressive.
I mean, if you'd told me back then that I would be even putting in for aoudad, let alone going hunt, I would have looked at you like you're crazy. I'd be like, you'd have first said, "What's an aoudad?" Yeah, there you go.
And why are they in New Mexico, and why aren't they in Arizona? And I mean, there's a whole history behind all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, you've grown a lot in the short time you've been in. And the one thing you can't buy is time. And so when you're applying and trying to gain points, and these states are on a point system, a lot of states are, not New Mexico, but a lot of states are, even now, you may not think that you want to hunt a sheep someday, or you might not think much of a trophy tag, a tag that is, high demand on a real limited basis. And so, but 5 or 10 years down the road, you might be like, all right, I've killed some bulls, I've gone to Idaho, I'm doing Colorado over the counter, whatever. I kind of want to take it to that next level, maybe have less people in the field, have a higher quality experience, and hunt real mature animals that are able to die of old age because they're managed well. Well, you would have wished you would have been starting to get points back 10 years prior. You know what I mean? And so that's the one thing, some of your listeners and you yourself or whatever, should have in the back of their mind is, what's my real future here? And if it is continuing to hunt and hunt out of state because there's limited hunting opportunities in California, then you've got to say, all right, how am I going to do that? And just prep. Some of these points are cheap. They're cheap to get. And don't think a lot of it. Just do it. Go through the motions, and then do your turkey hunts, do your over-the-counter elk hunts, do deer, aoudad when you draw it, things like that. And then, but all the while you're prepping for cool opportunities that you're going to be prepared for, mentally, physically, gear-wise, and experience-wise. But yet, you're prepping for points. But then, by the time you get them, you'll be prepared for the hunt. And you'll be ready for that experience. And so it's a progression. Hunting is a progression.
And it's definitely a tough thing because it's overwhelming enough at times. We were kind of talking about this earlier. It's overwhelming enough at times to just figure out one animal. Like when you know the state you want to hunt and the animal you want to hunt, there's a lot of work involved in just figuring that out for the year. But then also, having to have that forethought about, okay, if this is something I want to do, I need to get ahead of the game. And it's super overwhelming. It's an investment. I mean, a lot of states now, I think a lot of states are giving you the opportunity to just buy points if you don't want to hunt it that year, or they're, not as many of them are requiring you to put up the money up front. And so there's definitely a few more frugal options than others. And, you've obviously got to look at that when you're kind of building your plan and how you want to apply and what you want to do each year. But, it's a tough thing. And I had to really, there's a couple of times I tried to talk myself out of actually putting in for tags in other states that I'd like, because I was telling myself, I'm like, no, this is just too much. I can't even think about this right now. But I'm like, But, I was fortunate enough that when I kind of started putting in, I had people telling me that very same thing. They're like, you're going to want this in a few years. Do it now. Just put in for, you don't have to hunt it. Just put in for the unit with the worst draw odds you can, or just buy the points, but get them now.
Yeah. Yep, it is. It's you got to look at it as an investment. And, you got to figure that depending on where you're at in life, I mean, some people are old enough, they're far past their earning potential and they're on a fixed income or whatever. But as, our age, our income hopefully will do nothing but gain and increase as time goes along, as we get more proficient in our jobs, our industries, we're, mentally tougher and we don't accept less and whatnot. And so as you get older, you're not going to miss that money of applying. If it was $100 or $50, or maybe it's $200 non-refundable in a state like Nevada for buying a non-refundable hunting license to gain a point. It's money. It is money well spent. You miss it for a minute, but then next month and the next month, it's almost like you don't miss it, but yet you've got points and you're gaining for the future, and you're preparing to be a sportsman in this day and age, and to participate in, awesome hunting opportunities. Or if it's just a matter of providing meat for the table, it's not as much of the experience or any of that. It's just, and maybe it's part of the experience as well, but it's just, that's it. That's all you're doing is to eat clean meat and pure protein and have, eat from, animals that weren't fed steroids and all these things. And that's great. And there's plenty of opportunity. You don't necessarily need to gain points for that. So it just depends. Everybody's in a little bit of a different state, in what they do, but, and there's no right or wrong to any of it. We all get to choose for ourselves. But the one thing just the one thing I constantly tell myself, and I find myself wishing I would have gained points in certain places once in a while, is you just can't buy time. You can't buy time, and you can't just buy points. And so, some of those hunting experiences come from an investment of time, an investment into that state over years and years and years.
No, definitely very, very valuable advice.
So, well, coming from a guy that's lived it and done it, and then also we've helped, thousands of guys develop strategies and what they're looking to accomplish. And some states just aren't worth it. Some states, Washington sheep, goat, and moose are not worth applying for. $110 application fee, and, 1 in 3,000 type draws at times. And that's not including the point system that's in place. You add that on top, it might be 1 in 20,000 type draws or whatever. Those things just aren't worth it. And then, there's other scenarios, and a lot of scenarios that are well worth it. And so anyway, that's just part of being in the game and learning it, as you go along, or having, a service like Epic Outdoors, work with guys and just get you started. I think the biggest thing is just an initial orientation of the different states and the processes. And then, and I can give you a quick rundown of what I think's worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and also, of course, from each hunter has a different perspective. But if you said antelope's my biggest thing, I want to do that every single year. And then I'll do an over-the-counter elk. All the while, I want to make sure I, someday, 10, 20 years down the road, have a world-class elk hunt. That's what, then I would say, okay, this is what you need to be doing. And there's some states you won't do. So, you can always curtail it. You just, kind of make it to where it's very customizable to each hunter.
Yeah. And I mean, there's always the benefit of working with a service like yours is you can really open up a lot of those opportunities too, to where you say, okay, I mean, you can give people heads up that they may not even realize, where it's like, okay, yeah, I really want to one day hunt freaking giant elk in Arizona. So I gotta buy this license and all of this stuff. Do I really want to put in if I have to buy this license? Like, yeah, okay. But think about the other opportunities that can get you, and you can find ways to really add value. So,
mm-hmm.
For me, because I'm applying in Arizona, I got to buy that license. I also go pick up that over-the-counter deer tag that they offer for archery. Yeah. And I'm the biggest proponent of that tag in the world. I tell everyone about it.
Yeah, sure. It's awesome. You get to hunt rutting deer or January or whatever, of course August as well if you want. But I mean,
yeah,
there are things you can do and make good on, so to speak, on the tags you buy. Now you don't want to spend, $160 on a hunting license and say, well, now I need to buy an over-the-counter deer tag, and then I need to drive from California just to make sure I make the most value out of that $160, because you're spending $1,000 or $2,000, by the time it's all said and done. So, but for you're going to do it anyway. You want to do it. You're an archer, and you want to get those tags. Well, now, let's say you did it, but you didn't apply for points. I mean, what a waste, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're going to hunt Arizona anyway over the counter, absolutely, tack on the $10 fees to get points. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's right. It's not just money down the drain. At times it feels that way, but you can. There's a lot of ways to justify it and to make it happen. So
absolutely. So what can we expect from Jason Carter this year? What are you excited? What else are you excited about this year coming up?
Well, yeah, I'm super excited. I'm always excited. I'm very excitable. So anyway, I'm super excited about hunting deer in Nevada. I do that every year, usually on a landowner tag 'cause it's tough to draw, but I'll be doing that. My kids, I hunt with my kids a lot. I've got a kid that's 17. He's going to be graduating high school, not this year, but next year. And so this is like his last fall at home, so he had been gaining points. Of course, I'd been gaining points for him. And so he had 6 elk points in Wyoming, and I got him drawn up there in the Bighorns. Super excited for him on that, and he's way excited. He'll have a trophy tag, so to speak, just one of those great experiences, limited pressure, hopefully, and end up, hopefully we'll take a nice bull up there. And then, he also drew an antelope tag at the Hunt Expo there in our backyard, a Southwest Desert tag, yeah. And then he drew a tag in Nevada for mule deer, in the guide draw, and I'm a guide over there. So anyway, he's got 3 tags. My other kids will hunt Utah, and then, we apply, of course, we get them points and apply everywhere, and so we'll end up with a few of those tags. And then I've got an elk tag in New Mexico I drew.
Nice. And
I'm kind of on a low-density garbage unit, but that's what I like. This unit, is a high desert, no animals, but the animals there die of old age, and that's, I just want to, I like to hunt the oldest, most ancient critters there are, and but tough. It'll be a tough hunt. And so anyway, I'll do that. And then I had another kid draw an archery deer tech January in northern New Mexico in Unit 2B, and that's just an awesome hunt. High kill success. The success for youth, the youth hunt in Unit 2B is like a 50 to 60% harvest rate. Can you believe that with a bow?
Jeez.
Youth, kids killing deer, 50 and 60% harvest rates. Like, anyway, we did it last year, and he harvested a deer last year, and it was unbelievable. So, great opportunity for the youth, and so I'll do that. And then Idaho, probably try to hunt Idaho, maybe over-the-counter mule deer. They've got some, guys that are willing to work hard have great opportunities in Idaho. And so I always like spending some time up there, and we'll spend some time in Colorado as well. Deer are kind of what I just live for, so can't have enough quality opportunities on deer.
That's awesome. So if folks wanted to find you online, follow along with all of this, where are they headed?
They're headed to epicoutdoors.com. Just get on there. There's some video clips and different things. We also have a YouTube channel. Epic Outdoors has YouTube. You can check us out on Instagram. It'd be epic_hunts. Or myself, I'm Ridge Reaper 03 on Instagram. And then we always have links to Epic and things that we're doing and updates and whatnot. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, but happy to visit with anybody in regards to Western big game hunting. That's all we do, and, we love it. We live for it. So, anyway, there's no question that's too dumb either. We hear them all, and we deal with it all, and it's part of the process, and it's awesome. We like dealing with customers.
Fantastic. Well, make sure to put links up to the website and all the socials on our show notes page for this episode. And one thing I always like to end with is, like we talked about, this podcast, I really try and gear it towards folks who either, weren't raised in hunting or are new to it and maybe feel intimidated or just feel like they don't have the resources. If somebody came up to you and said they were really interested in hunting but just didn't know what to do, or didn't feel like they could do it, what words of wisdom or advice would you give to that person?
Well, I think it's like anything in life. The more time you put into it and the more you immerse yourself in it, the more comfortable you're going to become, and the better the better you're going to become at it. So when I was in college and in high school, I ordered all the regulations for every state. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, I ordered them from Oregon and Washington and read them. And you just start reading them, and you start grasping the opportunities. And then, like these podcasts, well, we didn't have podcasts back when I was, young and dumb and trying to learn everything. All we had to do was, fax machines and order stuff on paper. And so anyway, but these podcasts are awesome. Just immerse yourself in it, and you just start learning bit by bit. And even if it's over your head, it's okay, because it's not going to be. One of these days, it's all going to come together for you. And I think it's just a matter of just diving into it and doing it. Like we talked about your first hunt, you'd laugh if you heard about some of my hunts. Like, no hunt. These hunts don't come off perfect. You're not going to be perfect, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's an outdoor experience, and I think that's part of it. Is just it's getting you outdoors. You're going out, you're doing something that's been done for literally centuries and centuries and centuries, and it's one of those things you're going to develop an appreciation for when it's done right, and it's just a matter of diving in and being a sponge, soaking in all the information you can from anybody and everybody you can come in contact with, and then you're going to find what works for you. Don't follow everybody else's dreams. I think you need to follow your own dreams. And if your own dreams are turkey, fish, and upland game, or waterfowl, or whatever, then chase them. That do what you like to do. And if it's something where you like to experience a little of everything and go to Alaska someday, or go to Canada, or just stay in your home state and participate in what you've got close to home, then great, then dive into it. I think the biggest thing, a lot of people chase the dreams they're supposed to have and things that they're supposed to want. If you don't want to hunt sheep, don't hunt sheep. if you do what makes you happy. But hunting is such a rewarding experience if it's done right and tastefully. And there's a lot of hunting opportunities out there. There is a ton available out there. And so, anyway, I think it's just a matter of immersing yourself in it.
That is some great advice. Really want to say thank you for taking the time today, hopping on a call. Looking forward to seeing the results of the bear hunt. I will definitely be following along on Instagram to see how that turns out. You bet. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a long, old, rainy, cold stay, but I'm going to learn a lot, and it's going to be pretty fun. So we'll see how it goes. Awesome. Well, thanks again for hopping on. Okay, you bet, Sam. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, y'all, that'll do it for episode 69 of Living Country in the City. Make sure y'all head on over to our show notes page at livingcountryinthecity.com/69 to get links to all of Jason's and Epic Outdoors socials. Make sure y'all head on over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave that quick rating and review. It really means a lot to me. Also, as of the time I'm recording this, I am off on my pretty epic Western State road trip. Hope y'all are following along, enjoying the photos I'm sending out, and I know a few of you have already, but if y'all are along the route, make sure y'all check out my calendar page to see where I'm at, and let me know. I'm going to be throwing a few pint nights, hopefully going on a few hikes, and maybe doing a few group workouts with folks, so hope to see y'all out there, but in the meantime, keep it country, y'all.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.